Well, it looks like we're live, everybody. This is Matthew from Scent, and welcome to the season finale of the WIP Meetup, the first and weirdest virtual show in the metaverse. Season finale is just another funny way of saying that next week we're taking a summer vacation. And also, we have a really, really rad show for everyone today. We're super proud to have Whaleshark sponsoring the WIP for this week and hosting us at the Scarlet factory, designed by the master himself, AlottaMoney. To kick things off today, we're going to have some short and sweet project updates from blackbox.art, John Crane from Superrare, Evan Owaki from Gitcoin, and Whaleshark himself. And then we're going to segue right into a panel where we're going to be focusing on what it's like for the operators, players, community managers, product leads, and whales themselves to operate within the NFT space as the whales themselves grow and splash around. So look forward to a pretty exciting conversation there. But before we get started, I have a couple updates. Really excited that Scent and Grow Your Base have a NFT contest that's ongoing. There's 2 ETH up for grabs for whoever can create the best Scent and Grow Your Base inspired NFT. Check that out. I'll drop a link in the chat as soon as I finish up. And then I published the tokenized story for the worldwide WIP earlier this week. Folks over on Scent seeded me and sent me their ETH address. They received their early copy in their wallets that gave them full access to the whole story. Otherwise, you have to it in drips, which will conclude the final part will be released next week. So if you're interested in that, I'll get you a link to check that out. It's a great story, and I heard some pretty good reviews so far. Lastly, just want to plug a cool project. Everyone knows Async Art, but this Sunday, June 28th, they're going to hold another auction, and they're opening up a gallery over in Decentraland. I know our man No Shot is in the audience. If anyone has any questions about that, reach out to him. And then last but not least, we have a wearable contest going on. It looks like a bunch of people are wearing some really, really crazy outfits. So make sure you tweet that out, tag yourself with the hashtag WIPXWWW contest, and take some selfies out front near the photo booth. Cool. Now I'll hand the mic over to Rizzle, and he'll get the hype train going before we get into the WIP updates.
My God, man, this is like such a epic event. All right, so some housekeeping stuff. I'm gonna try and keep it nice and tight because we've got a packed afternoon for us that is all good stuff back to back. So if you're looking for the guest list, you're gonna have to stick with us. It's at the after party location. Whaleshark is going to be doing its top secret exclusive. I don't want to give too much away, but we're going to head there after the speakers in the panel. After this, real quick, want to plug Bruce the Goose, man. He's took this undertaking on his own back to organize this Pride rally / event in Crypto Voxels on Saturday this weekend. If you look when you came down the steps from the roof, there is a pride flag on the wall. If you click on that, it is a hyperlink to the nifty Pride event in Crypto Voxels that'll be going on Saturday. So if you want to pitch in for any other armchair activists or computer chair activists like me out there, it's an easy click through to come show your support for a very positive event. I know a lot of people who are here will be there. And I hope it's the start of many more positive metaverse events like that. So stuff is going on like that. Hit us up. Love to throw my weight behind positive things like that. Let's see. Who What Wearables? Matthew touched on it. We got a wearable contest going on. Take some selfies. Hashtag no naked avatars. Unless you want to be. I fully support that. And let's see, if you got ideas for future WIPs, like Matthew said, we're going to be taking next week off. It's not like this crazy summer ending season break. We'll be back before you know it. But if you guys have ideas, if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to be a speaker, If you want to have us host an event for you, similar to what we did for the Infinity launch, hit us up. My handle is NFTland on Twitter, and would love to put something together for you. Speaking of which, the actual, for those of you guys wondering, the public launch of Infinity should be coming up the first week of July, around the time that we're back from our break. So again, not trying to take up too much time. As long as we're ready to roll, I will pass the mic off to Sparrow, aka Blackbox.art, and she can give us the rundown on what she's been up to.
Right. So this is second or third time that I've spoken. And I'm going to make it really brief this time because I have spoken a lot over the last month. You could have found me on last weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday with the TXU group in the Crypto Artathon, and Sunday with the 105 Collective in the Crypto Artathon. Prior to that, I was on a panel for the Blockchain Game Alliance. We recorded an interview, the 105 Collective recorded an interview with Mokta. Prior to that, I had a nice long chat with Josie, which was wonderful. So yeah, you guys have probably heard more than enough from me this month. So quick whistle-stop tour. Projects that I'm working on will carry me through the next month. Crypto Art School still. We're doing net art and looking at different net art sites and seeing what we can glean from them. There's a group of us on my Discord. Feel free to join in if you're interested in learning anything about net art or discovering anything about net art. I'm working with Urban on a really cool project that I think is gonna really be something people enjoy. I'm building a gallery thanks to Chief Monkey, who loaned us a parcel for the project. And we want to be able to build collections of crypto art. So we're going to do an art swap. And that's all I'm going to say for now. But details will be out soon. And it'll be a way for artists to use their artwork as a means of exchange of value for other artists. Hopefully later on today or tomorrow, I think it'll be released. You'll see the 105 Collective are going to be guest editors on Known Origin. So we've selected 6 works from Known Origin and done little write-ups about why we believe that this art should be noticed. So also look out for that. And last, a shout out to agency. The agency DAO is something I came across recently and have started to become involved in. There will be more information on that always and on everything else in my State of Play post on Sent at the end of this month. So if you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned, let me know so that I can answer them in that post. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Sparrow. And the next speaker we have up is a good friend, someone I'm really excited to hear the updates about their project, but it's Superrare, John Crane. So John, if you're in the first floor here, try to fly or walk your way up to the stage and then tell us all about the latest work in progress update at Superrare.
All right, yeah. Unfortunately, I think my avatar is stuck on the roof. The crypto voxels in my browser aren't playing so nicely together today. But yeah, I just want to say, thank you for the invite, Matthew and Rizzle. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first, but certainly not last WIP Meetup. And yeah, I mean, we've been pretty busy, kind of heads down, working on lots of things over at Superrare. One, which, is a little bit more in the background, but we're still excited about. Charles did a huge overhaul of how we handle images throughout the website, and things are loading quite a bit faster. So some of you may have been familiar with load times in the activity feed of Marketplace, and hopefully it's set up quite a lot. So would love any feedback there. Another exciting announcement. We've been working on this for quite a while, kind of behind the scenes, but we just announced our virtual reality art show. So this is coming tomorrow. So from 7 to 9 Eastern. So it's our first completely VR art show with 3D sculptures. So all the pieces of art are going to be 3D sculptures, and it's a pretty epic crew of artists who participated. So we got Frenetic Boy, Giant Swan, Glass Crane, Marco Matic, Metageist, Rosie Summers, and Sven. So this is going to be super cool. We're pretty stoked. We've been kind of working with everybody, doing lots of experiments. And that leads into my last announcement, which is the fact that Superrare will be dropping 3D sculpture support tomorrow. So kind of in conjunction with the art show, we're launching 3D support natively in Superrare, which I'm very, very excited about. And other than that, I think that covers it. Thanks again for the invite. This is awesome.
That's dope. And we had one question come in. It's probably one of the hardest hitting questions I'll ever ask. But I know because of quarantine, you've been growing a pretty epic beard or mustache. But what's your strategy on that? Any technical roadmaps you can lay out for the world, where that's going?
Related to the mustache?
Yeah. John Perkins has that hard-hitting question.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to keep going with the stash until, we're all really allowed back outside. I'm kind of, channeling all that extra energy I have, just into ferociously growing the stash. So I think everyone can look forward to this thing getting quite a bit bigger.
Powerful.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, John.
I do what I can.
Cool. And then, next up we have Kevin Owaki from Gitcoin. So if your browser hasn't crashed on you and you're still mobile in CryptoVoxels, you make your way up to the screen, the artist, the speaker background, and then whenever you're ready, tell us about everything that's going on over at Gitcoin and all the Gitcoin grants that are currently being funded right now.
Thanks so much, Matthew. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm sitting outside and have a fan pointed at me, so there might be a little bit of noise. Can you hear me okay, Matthew?
You sound really good.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Owaki, and I co-founded Gitcoin. And our mission is to grow and sustain open source software. So basically, open source creates billions of dollars per year in economic value, and software developers don't get to capture that value. We're basically running quadratic funding on Gitcoin grants in order to support that mission, support the Ethereum ecosystem, democratically funding its projects. Quadratic funding, for those of you who are not familiar, is basically this formula that Vitalik and Glenn Weil came up with in 2018 that says that the amount received by a project is proportional to the square of the sum of the square roots of contributions received. So, if you're not a mathy person, this is just the mathematically optimal way to democratically fund public goods. You set aside a matching pool and run a campaign where people can get up to $200 worth of matching for a $1 donation to a project that's widely supported. So it's super powerful. We've done 6 rounds of Gitcoin grants thus far. The first one was in 2019 and had 200 contributions. The most recent one was in Q2 of 2020, and we did 8,000 contributions for that one. We're running Gitcoin grants around 6 right now, which is a 175K matching pool that basically we've distributed $2.2 million via Gitcoin grants to the Ethereum community thus far. And so basically, if you have a project and you're trying to make some noise about it and you're trying to raise some money, a Gitcoin grant is a pretty great way to make some money and make some noise. So the long-term end game is to reprogram society to fund public goods and to provide communities ways to democratically self-organize. I'm really pissed that all the stimulus money in the United States went to 98% of it went to these large corporations and not to mom and pop shops. So we have plans to enter Web 2 and do quadratic funding in, we're doing a 30K pilot round in downtown Boulder with retail businesses, not crypto cypherpunks, real mainstream people. And we have plans to increase the ability to handle larger round sizes in the future with Gitcoin grants. So quadratic funding is live on Gitcoin grants now. Just go to gitcoin.co/grants to contribute to your favorite projects today. And I'll end by saying that I have a new meme that I'm trying out. We recently added the ability to add a bunch of grants to cart and then do a bulk checkout. It's really a quite amazing thing to issue one transaction to the Ethereum network and contribute to 25 or 50 grants all at once. And so the meme that I'm going to try to start is the money shotgun. Pew, pew, pew. The money shotgun can distribute money to 50 people at once. And I think that's pretty cool. So Matt, thanks for having me on Crypto Voxels. I think I destroyed my browser on this in the speaking event, but I'm really glad to be here and to be showing Gitcoin grants to y'all. This is cool. I think I'll come back next time.
It's awesome. And then, are there any grants this time around that you think you should shout out for folks to pay extra special attention to? Maybe like 1, 2, or 3 examples, if that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'll post a couple links in the virtual meetup chat. But basically, the downtown stimulus grant, I'm really excited about, and I think that if you want to see more Ethereum values Trojan horsed into the mainstream, then that would be one to contribute to. I'm really excited about what Common Stack is doing, and I'd really like to see people take a look at their grant. And so I'll put some links into the virtual meetup channel with these grants so that people can check them out and maybe shoot some money shotgun at those grants. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. And then last of the speaker update series, but not least, we have the man himself, the sponsored host, Whaleshark, in attendance. So, Whaleshark, if your CV is still not crashed, make your way up to the front of the room and tell everyone what's going on at Whale.
Hey, bro. Can you hear me?
Coming through.
Great.
Take it away.
Once again, thanks so much for allowing me to speak at this WIP event. It's been a long time coming, and I appreciate the fact that all of the work that the WIP team has done to really make not only Crypto Voxels but the NFT space such a wonderful place to be in. I apologize. It's 3:20 over here, so my brain is moving a little bit slower than usual. And before I begin, I just want to thank the entire community for the support over the last 1 month since the launch of Whale. Without we couldn't have reached some of the key milestones which we have over the last month. Just going through the future events for Whale that are upcoming. But before that, it's really impossible to talk about what's next without talking about where we've been. So just a very quick update for everybody. The Whale community has already reached a stable 1,000 Discord members. And we're looking forward to a huge amount of growth moving forward with many more events that we're going to be handling. We have a full-fledged leadership and mod team in place, so I'd like to welcome Rude Moose, Odin, as well as Jijian to the team. They've been all inducted over the last couple of days. We've made a lot of progress in terms of distribution, airdrops, grants. Once again, my heart has been really warmed by the number of people who are accepting Whale in the marketplaces today. From a financial side, again, very thrilled that the price of Whale has been relatively stable. what we're seeing is about 28 cents to 36 cents for Whale versus a 6 or 7 cents valuation if it's just purely the vault, which really is a 5 times multiple of what is objectively being assessed by our professional auditors. And once again, I think that's really a testament to the strength of the community. Now, moving forward, I have a couple of announcements to make. What we're going to be doing in the future, and I mean, this 1 month has really been more of it's been more of a watch and see and a trial of certain different events. But we're going to be including more community engagement. We have some more ideas for distribution, and we also have more additions to the vault. So just along those 3 points, I'll give a very short update. In terms of engagement, the 3 main events that I'm interested in right now is going to be Whale Kids. We've worked with Crypto Motors to build out a huge refrigerator, once again, inspired by a very similar initiative in Crypto Voxels. It's about 12 meters high. Crypto Motors, Leandro, and the team did a fantastic job, and we're going to be actually putting the artwork from the children of our members on that fridge so that it can be displayed for the world to see. Whale Tank is going to be launched very shortly in 2 different phases. So the first phase that we're going to launch Whale Tank in is more of an idea generation incubator for community engagement events before we move on to a pure angel investment or venture capital usage of Whale. And that should launch within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And the third thing is from a biweekly Whale competition. I hope everyone is ready for another fantastic engagement event. We just finished our emoji event, which had a lot of wonderful submissions, and I am proud to announce that we're going to be launching a meme event. So another meme event coming this weekend. So I hope everybody looks out for that and they put on their creative thinking hats. And I look forward to seeing the same amount of activity that we did with the previous events. Besides that, I can assure everybody that the vault is up and running. We have a lot of new additions, and one new addition, a significant investment into a up-and-coming project that is still in closed beta. But I'm looking forward to sharing that with everybody when the time is appropriate. Matt, Rizzle, Trislet, WIP team, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward to discussing through all of this with you guys in the future.
Very cool. And then, Whaleshark, real quick, there's a question that came in that I want to pose to you. So since starting up Whale, I guess it's been over a couple months now almost.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any unexpected challenges or hurdles that you've run into that you didn't foresee when you were planning it out before you announced it? I'd be curious to hear that. And
the biggest change that we encountered prior to launch was the change of the tokenomics, right? I think what we wanted to do is ensure that the distribution of Whale went to real creators and real contributors to the community, rather than simple market making, and generation of funds. So I think that was the biggest curveball that was thrown towards us. But at the end of the day, I think things turned out for the better by us doing this. And again, I think we have a very vibrant community. We have a lot of positivity within the Whale community, and I'm just very happy how it turned out.
Awesome. Well, thank you for getting up here to talk about Whale and updating folks on that. And with that, that concludes the speaker update portion. So we can segue into the panel that we had organized. So, Whaleshark, you can stay up front since you're in the panel too. I see you trying to float away. But if Alexander from Axie Infinity, if John from Team Mystic, and Poopy Cat from Crypto Kitties can fly up to the front of the room, if you still have those controls enabled, we can get started here. Otherwise, if you can't move, just chime in on the chat so I can know that you're here, and then we can get started. So I see Poopy up here. Who's at the corner there? Jean, can you hear me? And Alexander, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure. Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear just fine.
Perfect. So we're all here. So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. Like I mentioned in the intro, the purpose of this panel is to dive deep and discuss with people who are in charge of product and community, who are actual players, and who are serious collectors and operators in NFT land. What it's like, especially from the early outset of a project, to work with whales, and from a whale's perspective, like what is it like to get in early on a new project and then help it grow? And there's probably a lot of pros and cons, both sides, challenges that people face. So I'm excited to dig into that with everyone. The format of this is I'll ask a question and I'll go down in a specific order. So beginning with Whaleshark, we'll get an answer. Then we'll go to Alexander, who is the COO of Axie Infinity. And then over to Jean, who's a player on Team Mystic for Gods Unchained. And then lastly with Poopy Cat, who's in charge of product and community at CryptoKitties. And we'll just get the answers like that and then roll into the next question to keep it simple. So to get started, I just want to take it back to the beginnings for everyone. So for Whaleshark in particular, when you entered the NFT space, and I guess you probably found Gods Unchained pretty early, I'm just wondering at that time, whenever you entered, what was the state of whales in NFT land from your perspective? What was the good? What was the bad that was going on with other whales in your perspective?
So I think Gods Unchained is a very unique project. It doesn't, I guess it's not as integrated into NFT land as it should be. And back then, honestly, I think there were only about 2 to 3 whales that were operating separately, very separately within the ecosystem. Again, when you enter into a project, you never have the intention of becoming a whale, at least from my perspective. But what I've seen over the course of entering into NFT land, entering into new projects, you see a lot more discussion and I guess a lot of more trading of ideas between different whales in the space than there was before.
And then Alexander, from your perspective, back when you started Axies with everyone, like what was the state of whales in early Axie? How did their impact, if at all, influence the growth of Axie, both in like a positive and then potentially not so positive way?
Yeah, can you hear me first, Matthew?
Yep, all good.
Great. So before I start, I'd just like to say thanks for inviting me. It's my first stop here in Crypto Voxel's land officially. I mean, I stop by occasionally, and I think it's amazing also to interact a little bit with the broader community too. It's been a while since I've been very active in this sort of thing. So to get back to the original question about whales, I mean, in Axie, I can 100% say that we wouldn't be where we are today without Coco Whale. So I'm sure some in the audience might recognize him from a few projects, but I believe he's like almost an Axie maximalist at this point. But yeah, he just came in and pretty much took a really significant portion of the presale, of the original Axie presale, and has been a major supporter since that time. And I think that he's just been really great to have on board and never really lost faith. I think he was an early ETH investor as well, but we don't know who he is. He's anonymous. He's been that since the beginning. So yeah, I think whales have a very big part to play, but also I remember we got some backlash from a few of the other really early crypto guys. I think like Pranked and even Carlini, who might be familiar names to some, who felt like this person had too much of a stake in Axie, and they were worried about him selling out. So there's been a little bit of back and forth, but in general, I think that Coco was an amazing resource, and since that time, he's just been creating games and adding value to the project, which I think is necessary from a whale perspective. If you don't add value to the projects that you are investing in, you're just almost like a parasite waiting to exit and to make money. So that's my opinion on this matter.
And then, Jean, like as a player, like what is your take when you started playing? I don't know if it was for Team Mystic at first or just as a casual player. What was your read on the situation of Whales as a player, and was it a positive view or negative view, or just to hear that?
Hey, all right. Can you hear me? Fine.
Yep.
So it's interesting because I think this will tie up with everything that they already said. That is that I started the game as a free-to-play player, and I've tried my best at the time to see what I could achieve as a free-to-play player. And after playing for a while, I have achieved the highest ranking possible. That was like Mythic, right? And with only the stuff you could get for free. And that was when I was scouted by Whaleshark and the Mythic and was invited. So since I've been playing with access to Whaleshark's collection, it has given me the opportunity to fully compete and try my best to improve. And in this kind of game, like you need some access, and the impact of whales in the game depends on how they are willing to use their resources. So the fact that Whaleshark was looking forward to increase the access for players, I think it was a very positive aspect, like from the community perspective, because it was an enabler, right? It would not be possible to be playing the highest levels if it wasn't by that kind of willingness to improve the scenario of the game by starting to create a competitive scene. So yeah, that's what is really amazing for me. That, as you said, as the other guy said, the whales can be someone just looking for an asset when it's profitable, or they can be willing to build the project together with the community. So that's what I think, for me, it really tied up everything: the whales and the non-whales, the free-to-play players, and the community building. It's really amazing. It has been a very, very, very great experience.
And then Poopy Cat, from the early days at CryptoKitties until now, I'd be really interested to hear about the impact, positive and potentially not so positive, of whales on CryptoKitties.
Yeah, so first I just want to thank you two for having me. It's my first time speaking on the WIP, and I really admire all the work and community building that this community has done. So CryptoKitties is unique in that it's one of the only projects that really managed to penetrate the mainstream. And we did have that viral bubble, and a lot of our success, well, I would think all of our success would have to do is because of the early whales. These are whales who purchase cats and founders for hundreds of thousands of dollars or over $100,000. But when I think about it, to me, it's a double-edged sword, because we do get the headlines, we do penetrate the mainstream. It does bring a lot of eyeballs into the space and CryptoKitties, but it also sets unrealistic expectations. And to this day, we're still experiencing new players that come in with the allure and hopes of making a lot of money because they've read articles from 2.5 years ago. So it does result in a lot of impressions, users, but it also results in high churn. We've done a poor job at community building with whales. General discoverability on the app is very poor, and it has been for years. And that's something that we do want to improve. And like looking at Whale and what Whaleshark has done, it really motivates us to listen, to have a closer ear to the ground and what's happening, and kind of avoid this ivory tower that CryptoKitties has sheltered itself in. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
And then rolling into the next question, first off for Whaleshark, when you get into new projects early on, do you ever worry about potentially over influencing a project in a particular way or maybe a different way? Like, do you have any sort of principles that you feel other whales should maybe consider? They start to get into new projects in the whale that they tend to?
That's a great question, Matthew. And once again, I think it's also a concern that many people have when they see that a larger sized investor comes into certain projects, right? Just again, thanking Gian and thanking Poopy for those kind words. I think so. The first thing is that I think whales are essential for starting projects, right? It's very it's very difficult for fledgling projects to achieve the financial continuity that they require without some form of whale involvement in the beginning to generate a sustainable stream of revenue. Now, given that, answering your question in two parts. While a whale's actions might be able to influence the market in the shortest of terms, right? Whether that's in preference in terms of what they buy, which NFT asset of a certain project that they buy. At the end of the day, whales, and every single whale, including myself, have limited resources, and you cannot continue to influence the market in perpetuity, right? So for those who do think that whales have a longer lasting effect on the market, it just simply isn't true. At the same time, however, directly answering your question, I do believe that whales play, I guess, a little bit of a societal role in terms of being responsible, in terms of supporting what type of projects or what elements of a project that goes in, right? And some whales are in there to make a quick buck, right? They go in, they buy it, they pump it, they dump it. And for me as a whale, I guess my key principle is that if I'm going to invest in a project, I'm not going to sell a single NFT of that project for the next 2 or 3 years, because I really do believe in what the team is trying to do, and I believe in the community that's building around it. So your role as a whale in that sort of a circumstance is to help make the project better rather than to help make yourself richer. So for me, I guess the key principle for me is, if you're going to get involved in a project, just don't do it for the money. Do it for the love. Do it for the community. Do it for the positivity. Yep, that's what I would say to that.
And then, Alexander, like, as an operator, how do you, I guess, weigh the different signals? For example, maybe you have some really strong whales come in to the project, show a lot of interest, a lot of capital flows in. How do you weigh those signals with the other, I guess, company need or feelings that you need to innovate and keep changing and growing, heading forward? So, like, how are you able to balance the innovation part with satisfying existing whales and existing players, I guess, for the project as you head forward? How do you think about that as an operator?
Yeah, so the thing is, when you are creating a project from scratch, everything is about incentive design. So I think we have been at a state in the NFT space where the incentive design is still a little bit wonky, so to say, because as a project you are constantly selling assets to run the company, right? So you need cash flow. So the incentive there is to kind of keep inflating the economy with new assets, and then you can't really do that because you're destroying the economy. So we've been very conscious of that in Axie. And I think what we'll see in the coming years is like turning from only NFTs into more, when you introduce fungible assets or tokens that are designed to capture value from the underlying revenue streams in the game or project or whatever it is that is being created. And we can already see that happening in the DeFi space, such as like with the compound token. And I believe that will resolve some of the issues that we've encountered even in Axie Infinity, where there is an asymmetrical amount of information that is between the core team and, for example, the early adopters who have contributed a lot of money and are expecting results quicker, for example. And as we know, it takes a long time to build something of quality. So yeah, I think it's about incentive design and in general trying to solve that in a more elegant way than we've seen in the past.
And then, John, like as a player, when there's changes in a project or when a project doesn't change, like as a player, how do you feel about those situations? Like if you're playing something that you love and it doesn't change because maybe it seems few like large interests don't want it to change, is that a good thing from your perspective as a player? Do you like that continuity, or do you prefer change and innovation and experimenting in the games that you choose to play?
So there is like a never-ending discussion in Gods Unchained. There is like when there will be the time that the conflict of the collectors and the new players will actually hurt the game. That is when the fact that so many people were whales and early collectors, and the interest of them that their cards keeps being valuable will impact the developer's decision to like keep making the game change. Because when you have a card game where or when you have iterative game design, everything that changes is affecting the other stuff that is already there. So if a new card comes out, it will make other stuff weaker or worse in general. And there is this problem. There is not a problem currently, but everyone is concerned about. And in my experience, I feel like the game has to strive to be the best game that it can, regardless of the fact that it is NFT, because you can rely on whales for a while, but ultimately you need like mass adoption. You need your experience to be seamless and comparable to the rest of the industry. Therefore, I expect the games to keep changing the way the industry usually does. Therefore, what I expect to happen is this problem to be resolved by the fact that besides the gameplay aspects of the cards or the assets be lowering because new stuff's coming out, the collectible value it's increasing because it's old, it's rare, and hopefully it balances out and it's good for everyone because everyone has a niche and it's not impacting the game in a negative way. But this balance may be hard to strike. So I'm hopeful that this happen, but I'm not sure if it will. And directly answering, I think the game has to move at the industry pace, regardless of the opinions of a few people that are like mostly concerned about their own game, right? So yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, Poopy, from your perspective, over at CryptoKitties, since you've been at it for so long, how do you think about this question now of balancing interest of some of the larger interests versus like the industry interest or the interest of continuing to develop?
Yeah, so over time, we've kind of realized, well, initially, we didn't really understand what CryptoKitties was and what we have built. And it took us like a year to understand that, okay, what we built is a collectible game and players want new ways to show off their collectibles. And this is true for the minnows, the dolphins, and the whales, because as we introduce new cats into the game or new mechanics, we are targeting specific scarcity niches. And we haven't really done anything or done any adverse action to punish players for collecting. But there was a really big problem that we had early on, the whale botter problem. And this is basically a player with means and resources to play CryptoKitties programmatically and corner resources and corner markets and take away some of the the resources from other players, and by resources I mean fancy cats that could be read. So to combat that, rather than taking any negative action towards the player, at the end of the day, they're still a player. It becomes an interesting game design problem where we need to level the playing field, but also increase the depth for the whale botter, and also the minnows and our regular core users. So we had to do some things to, we constantly add onto the existing design to solve problems rather than take things away or fail to implement anything and leave it the way that it is. That's how we approach balancing the economy or creating a more sustainable game economy for all players of all levels of engagement.
And then rolling into the last question I have here to keep this short and snappy, there may be a few questions from the audience add on after this, but there is an interesting article that Maddie, or DCL Blogger, did the other day, asking the question, are whales killing NFTs? The article he wrote was basically focused on like virtual worlds and whales buying up land in virtual worlds and not developing them. And really the question centered around that particular phenomenon. And he was just asking the question, like, is that the best way? I don't think so. It seems like that whales should have, I guess, the insight or understanding that they need to do more with their larger purchases in the virtual world NFT context for their investment to appreciate. But it got me thinking that the different types of games and projects in the NFT space, they probably all have a similar potential dynamic where whales, of course, everyone's going to buy something, but any follow-up actions that the whales should probably engage in to add more value back to the project, to continue to see it grow and develop. Like maybe the question is not so much focusing on whale nomics anymore, as opposed to looking at like a whale ethics, or like maybe even further down the line, like a whale morality. So for Whaleshark, in your perspective, like, is there a whale ethics that should be followed in particular games, particular cases? Or yeah, I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Again, I've been a little bit hung up with real life work, but that is definitely an article that I would have to read, and it's definitely an article. I mean, with the main points that you voiced right now, is that I agree with. You know, you're gonna have you're gonna have different types of people. You're also gonna have different types of whales, right? You're gonna have those whales that buy an investment, just sit on it, put it in a closet, let it continue to gather dust. You have some whales who are going to have a very passive involvement in a project, and then after that, you're going to have whales who will try and do everything to make sure that a project works. You know, one of the key reasons why I invested in CryptoVoxels was because, you know, given the size of CryptoVoxels back then, it was a project that I felt that I could make a difference. One of the first things that I did when I bought out, you know, the first 100 parcels within the 1 month that I entered CryptoVoxels, was and continue to provide those CryptoVoxel parcels for free to creators, to artists, so that they can have their own rent-free art gallery in CryptoVoxels. There's no point in me hoarding 200 parcels of CryptoVoxels lands and not doing anything with it. You know, once again, for digital land, my understanding and my belief is that the platform that has content, that platform that has a community, the platform that has engagement is going to be, you know, the winning platform at the end of the day. And you know, I can see that from that very vibrant crypto art as well as CV community. Very similar to what Gian was talking about just now. What's the point in me buying 200,000 God Unchained cards and putting it inside a vault and not letting anybody use it? Um, you know, the game was built to be played. Given that this is not a physical card game, it's a digital card game, I lose nothing by allowing people to use those cards in the way that they were supposed to be used. And then after taking that same philosophy into crypto art, once again, what's the point of me collecting all of this crypto art and just again putting it in the vault without